All right, we're getting word right now that Jamie Dimon is going to be meeting with other, presumably financial CEOs and President Trump on Friday. The CEO who just met with the president yesterday joins me right now. He's former CEO Steve Ubl. Mr. Ubl, very good to have you.
Hi, Neil. Great to be with you.
Same here. Now, you had a chance to hear the president. He was talking about trying to streamline the drug approval process, something I know has been near and dear to you, and to try to get cheaper drugs. I think something that the administration had viewed something that wasn't happening right now. So he wants to reassess how this process goes and what has been a given for so long. His clear intent was, A, to hire more American workers, and B, to get these prices under control. What do you think?
Yeah, it's clear the president is laser focused on jobs. We had a very positive, productive discussion yesterday. You know, this industry has been an incredible engine of both public health gains as well as economic growth. You know, if you look at life expectancy doubling and death rates dramatically falling across a range of diseases, whether it's cancer, heart disease, HIV, AIDS, most recently hepatitis C. This industry has a tremendous footprint in the United States already. We have 4.5 million Americans employed directly or indirectly.
You didn't feel that he was singling you guys out for not doing enough, though?
Well,
go ahead.
We found a lot of common ground. I think there are additional steps. Our companies want to do more in the U.S. We talked about lowering corporate taxes, better trade deals that protect our intellectual property, our R&D investments. We invest $70 billion in the United States, which is more than any other industry. So we do think we can do more. Our
so how was it when the cameras
left
that room, Steve? And I always think that's when everything gets real. And did anyone just say, hey, Mr. President, I mean, you just knocked us, you know, for no reason?
Again, I think the president is focused on two things: more jobs in the United States and
I know he's focused on, but did any of you get mad?
No. You know, this was a very productive discussion. I found the president to be very interested.
One of you got your nose out of joint? I mean, he's more or less saying that you're gouging. He didn't say anything.
No.
Okay.
You know, and we take his concerns with regard to drug prices seriously. I think we want to engage all stakeholders. You know, it's a complicated system. We understand there are questions. You know, insurers ultimately determine how much patients pay out of pocket. Increasingly, PBMs and others are demanding discounts and rebates that our companies provide, and the question is, are those discounts flowing to patients? So we want to engage all stakeholders.
And I know this has been a concern personally of yours. In fact, everyone, of course, in and outside the industry remembers something you wrote about a little over a year ago, not even a year ago, back in May of 2016, when you shared a story about showing a video that focused on a mom struggling with a child who had type 1 diabetes. Shortly thereafter, and I'm quoting here, my wife called to tell me that our son Chris, who had been suffering from fatigue and weight loss and unusual thirst, had just been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. The moment bordered on the surreal. So it was brought to you personally. So did that experience in any way change your perspective on A, diseases, and B, how quickly drugs for those diseases come to market?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not special. Our family's been touched by chronic disease, which is particularly challenging to manage, especially for kids. But all families have been touched by disease. And for me, it's just been a great reminder of what's at stake. You know, you know, when I first had to start giving my son Chris, you know, 4 to 5 insulin shots a day.
Oh my God.
You know, it's you know, waking him up in the middle of the night to test his blood sugar. We lead the world in the development of better treatments and cures. So I think the president really understands what's at stake. Yes, we have to be responsible with regard to pricing, but we absolutely have to continue to have incentives for companies to take risks, to hit home runs, to find cures for deadly diseases like type 1 and others.
Yeah, you know, one of the things you said, and I'm quoting here, it still takes too long and costs too much to develop a medicine, test it, and get it to patients. The scientific process for making medicines is far more advanced today than the tools the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has to evaluate these medicines. But the complaint people have of the FDA and the process for which things are approved is it takes forever. I know that was something the President addressed. I know it's something you yourself have addressed. But it still takes a long time. And I'm wondering what can change that.
Well, we think the FDA has the gold standard for regulatory approval. And there's terrific people at the agency. But we do have to take a look at steps that we can take to continue to enhance competition by bringing more products to market. You know, a lot of the media attention that's been focused in the past year has been on cases like Turing, Valiant, and Mylan.
Right.
Cases where we're talking about old drugs where there's not effective competition. So we think there are targeted solutions to those problems. You know, I think you could have more resources dedicated to reducing the backlog at FDA with regard to generic approval. You could have manufacturing and tax incentives that are put in place to encourage generic entry. You know, let's look at targeted solutions that really address the problem.
All right. Now, we know from Mylan in the case of the EpiPen and huge costs associated with that, and the company has since tried to offer tiered pricing, especially for schools and the like, but that it is still an expensive process. Is your fear that the balance that we got to find, that the money that the pharma pays to get a drug to market or an EpiPen to market has to be balanced out with the humanitarian needs to provide support?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the other steps I think we need to take is increasingly our companies want to engage directly with payers and put their money where their mouth is and be reimbursed differentially based on the outcome achieved by the patient. So instead of one price for one pill, you know, a more granular discussion with payers about the outcomes that are achieved. But unfortunately, there are a lot of laws and regulations that stand in the way of more of those outcomes-based arrangements from taking shape. So we talked about those steps and other market-based solutions that we think would move the system increasingly, again, towards value rather than paying for volume.
If I may be so personal and intrusive, Steve, how's your son now?
Well, thanks for asking. You know, he's great. He's 13. It's been 2 years since his diagnosis, and you know, he's a daily inspiration to me and our family. And again, he's a daily reminder of what's at stake in this discussion as we balance the incentives for innovation as well as access and affordability.
And it's tough at that age to say, cool it on the pizza, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true.
Steve Ewell, thank you very, very much. A real pleasure having you.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Great to be with you.